All right, we are live. So I'll start with a very short introduction. I'll introduce myself, and then maybe you guys can give short introductions on your side as well. And please ask me your questions, and then I'll be happy to answer this. Right. So my name is Karthik Paniyappan, and I run August Academy. We've been in the MBA Admissions Consulting business since 2013. We are very fortunate. We've had the opportunity to work with some very talented people over the last 9 years, and we've also put in our best effort and all of our faith into whatever we do. And as a result, some of our students have gotten into some of the best universities in the world, right? So I've had people getting into Harvard. I've had people getting into Chicago, both MIT, Kellogg, Tuck, Darden, Duke, Ross, Columbia. So a lot of colleges in the top 10, top 15 within the US. Within the European region, we've had people get into all the top 5 colleges. That's INSEAD, London Business School, Oxford, Cambridge, HEC, IMD as well. In India, we've had people getting into ISB for sure. And then we've also had people getting into executive programs of IIMs, A, B, C. And outside of that, we've had people getting into NUS, NTU, HKUST. So any region that you can think of, if you make a list of the top 5, 10 colleges in that particular region, we've had our students get into those colleges. Very good scholarships. We have a tally of around $1 million a year so far, and we are looking to make it bigger, right? So that's our ambition for this particular year. We've got another good cohort for R1, and we are in process of putting in our application, so I can't speak much about it, but maybe in about a month or so, we'll have our early results in terms of interview invites. And at that point, I can be a little bit more forthcoming about what's been happening and who's getting where and all that. I'm being optimistic, and I'm hopeful that we have a good season ahead of us. We are in process of signing up people for round 2. So if you are looking at round 2 admissions, definitely please get in touch with us. And we may be able to take some folks who are looking at late October deadlines as well. So if that's your scenario, please reach out to us. With that, I would like to open up the floor for questions. So, there's no any particular order. Just go ahead, introduce yourself, and ask me your questions.
Yeah, hello, sir. My name is Ajay. I'm from
Hi, Ajay. How are you?
Yeah, thanks. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you as well.
So I want to just do a quick introduction about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have 5.5 years of work ex.
Okay.
I have been working as a product manager for the last 2 years in companies like Byju's and startups.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was a software developer in Deloitte Consulting India.
Okay.
I have a 700 on the GMAT.
Okay.
And engineering degree, but not from a reputed college.
Okay.
Tier 3-ish college.
Okay.
I have been in the MBA process for some time now.
Okay.
It's mainly in the Indian, trying for the CAT route.
Okay.
But now I've finally decided, cross that limit. So now I'm looking at, let's say, a global approach.
Okay.
I had worked with a previous consultant, and
Okay.
they had, just for the profile review, and they have given me a list of schools.
Okay.
But, due to some other reasons, I couldn't continue with them on the applications.
Okay.
I'm going for round 2.
Okay.
Just a quick question. First question is, does round 2 affect, let's say, the scholarships or higher chances of admission?
Okay. Yeah, go on.
If I can just finish the second question. Some of the schools given to me in the list were like, some of the schools which they told were ambitious were like NUS, NTU, because I'm mainly looking for a 1-year program and preferably nearby India. And I'm willing to go till like London or Southeast Asia. Okay. But I was surprised because a lot of these schools have a lower average GMAT in the range like 670, 680 range. Mm-hmm. So how does that work out in your opinion, if you could just answer?
Okay, all right. With regards to your first question, see, the technically correct answer is your chances go down just a little bit in round 2. And this is true for both offers of admission and for scholarships. But when you look at it in terms of practical results, for the most part, you shouldn't be affected too much. So if you have a good application in round 2, you apply in round 2. That's about it. I think the only people who should definitely be applying in round 1 are the people who are ready with everything in, let's say, June. And then they're just postponing things because they're lazy. Now that's the group of people who should, who should be applying in round 1 for sure. But if you have a genuine reason for moving it from round 1 to round 2, like let's say your GMAT is not done, or you're switching companies and you want to get some more experience in the new company, or you just got promoted and you would like to get that 3-4 months experience before you apply, or you just started something. No, extracurricular is not a very great reason to postpone from round 1 to round 2. But the other reasons that I just said, right, all of those are valid reasons. And I do believe that a lot of people end up postponing from round 1 to round 2 only because of the GMAT itself. Yeah. So that's perfectly fine. The absolutely correct answer is yes, your chances will go down. But in practice, it's okay. I mean, we've had a lot of people getting into good colleges in round 2. We've had people getting good scholarships in round 2 as well. Yeah. With regards to your second question, can you clarify what you mean?
Sorry, sir. Maybe I spoke fast. So they gave me a list, the admission consultant, in which they grouped like some colleges are ambitious for you, safe, or something else. I think stretch. They had some terminology. Okay. Although some colleges, I believe I had a better chance at, for example, NUS, NTU, which were my first preference because of the location and good brand in India. My aim is to work in India. Okay. I was surprised that I was told that I don't have a good shot at those colleges, even though, let's say, from the reports, their average GMAT was in the range 670 or 660, while I had a 700. Okay. So I wanted to know the prospects for mainly like Asia and like Europe.
Sure. Yeah. See, I mean, different people have different methodologies for shortlisting. So I really don't know what kind of information you shared with them and what kind of what were they thinking when they made that shortlist, right? I mean, so it's like a chef preparing a recipe. Everybody does it differently, and there's nothing to say one is better than the other. It's all different styles. That's about it. Yeah. In general, what I have observed is if the global average for a particular college is, let's say, around 660 or 670 on the GMAT, with regards to an Indian applicant pool, you need at least 30-40 points more than that average in order to be considered competitive, right? So that is something that is definitely the case. Now, with regards to whether NUS is competitive for you or not, yeah, NUS is slightly difficult for people from an Indian background. Yeah, NTU is a little easier. I would definitely need a little bit more information to park NTU for you as a stretch or a target. But without knowing anything, I can say it's definitely in the middle. Okay, it's not a target school. It's not a big stretch, but it's a little bit of a stretch.
Sure. Yeah, that was it. I just had one more question before closing from my side. Yeah. I'm quite big on the extracurriculars, or at least in my opinion. I have a diploma in piano performance from Trinity College, London. And recently, like I performed in Tirupati Temple in a live televised concert in front of an audience of 500. So I wanted to know if these things can add impact if portrayed in the right way in the MBA applications.
These things can definitely add value. Yes. How much of an impact I'm unable to comment on. Okay. For different people, for different activities, it's different. Definitely, the more integrated it is with your story, the main story that which is about what have you done professionally, why are you looking for an MBA, and the better it integrates with that storyline, the more impact it carries. If it doesn't integrate very well, then it definitely portrays you as somebody who has a variety of interests and is good at what you're doing. But it may not turn the tables for you. It may not be sufficient for you to convert a negative result to a positive result. If you're somewhere in the balance, it can push you towards the positive, right? So that's how I observe it to work.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But all said and done, I mean, performing in Tirupati and all, that's great. So I think that's the gift in and by itself. Right? So,
thank you, sir.
So does anybody want to go next?
I may.
Yeah. Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm good. Nice to connect with you. My queries are basically, I'll give a bit of my background. So I have 4+ years of experience right now.
Okay.
And I took my GMAT in 2019, wherein I got a 680. I again took a GMAT just like last week, but I didn't land up with a higher than a 680 score, so I had to cancel it.
Okay.
And I'm planning to go ahead with the 680 itself. So I wanted to understand that an older, because this is what people have told me, that an older GMAT score would again, hamper, provided it's also not a 700+ score. And it would put a question on your academic abilities, because they typically check within the past 2 years what has been your academic ability, etc. My second question is that I have the work experience for 3 years in private sector. It was in real estate consulting with an MNC.
Okay.
And then I have moved to an NGO, wherein I'm working with the government of Punjab on social impact in education sector.
Okay.
So, and I will be continuing the job for the next year as well. This is what I moved in last June. So I wanted to understand that this combination, how does it settle well with the B schools, and mostly, as Ajay had mentioned, I'm also targeting schools which are in Asia and UK, Europe, mostly because I'm targeting 1-year programs for myself. And I wanted to understand that, if going ahead again with a GMAT would help me, not going ahead with a GMAT, and probably working more on my profile would help me. How do I go about it? Because I'm a little confused on that front. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just recap. You have 3 years of experience in real estate consulting and a little more than a year in the nonprofit space, consulting for education, etc., for the government of Punjab, but you're working for the nonprofit. Yeah. And you took your GMAT 2 years ago, got a 680. You took it again 2 weeks ago. You did not cross that score, so you canceled it. So your first query is whether it's okay to apply with the older GMAT, and my answer is yes, it is okay. So everybody has their own opinion on things, but I don't take that to heart. The score is supposed to be valid for 5 years, and we are in a position where colleges are even accepting expired scores because the pandemic and whatnot. So definitely having a score that's valid but 2 years old is certainly not a problem. So definitely don't worry about that. You wanted to apply to 1-year programs. You wanted to apply to programs in Asia and maybe going as far away as the UK. That's perfectly fine. A 680 may make things a little difficult. I would be interested to know the background of your nonprofit work. And sometimes if you've done very good work in the nonprofit space, then you may still be able to target your NUS in Oxford and Cambridge with the 680. Okay. But if your work is a little bit more mainstream and not very high impact at a sim, then you would be just like any other candidate, and you wouldn't get like extra points for being from the nonprofit space or anything. So under such a scenario, your 680 may make it difficult to target a top tier program. So you may need to resort to a second tier program. So within Singapore, we are probably looking at like a Singapore Management University, or within the UK, probably look outside of London, Oxford and Cambridge, right? So I think everything hinges on what kind of work you've done at the nonprofit and to a certain extent, even at the real estate consulting firm.
Understood. Just one last question. Again, I'll just repeat the same question as Ajay's, that would round to, hamper in this scenario, given I again have a lower than 700 score, would it also probably, much lower my chances as compared to that?
It's fine. Yeah. So again, same answer. Theoretically, it is slightly lower. right? But practically, you won't face much difficulty.
Understood. Understood. Thank you so much.
Yeah, does somebody have any question?
Yes, I can go next. Hi,
Yes.
Karthik.
Hi,
This is
hi, Videv.
Videv. Hi. So just to give a quick intro about myself. So I have around 5 years of experience in talent advisory and talent acquisition industry. Currently working with ThoughtWorks, an IT consulting firm, in their
Okay.
product talent advisory team. And prior to this, I worked in a talent consulting firm called Allegis, mainly working for and consulting solutions for 2 Fortune 500 clients. And currently, what I want to do is I want to move to a consulting or a strategy role, especially under the umbrella of HR, specifically in talent acquisition or recruiting. And I'm looking for a course that would kind of help me bridge this particular gap, because the kind of courses that I'm looking at, a general MBA, I'm seeing not a lot of returns or not a lot of help to reach my goal, especially over here. I am yet to give my GMAT or GRE. Academic wise, I did my graduation from a tier 1 commerce college, Criterion University, Bangalore. And on the extracurricular front as well, I've done quite well. So my 2 questions are, I would say, I'm not sure if a general MBA would help me that much because of the limited exposure to HR in general in those particular courses, and the limited opportunities in placement also, I feel, would not yield the best return on investment. And so my question would be, what are the master programs that I can probably target to, or schools that I can target to kind of approach, especially if it is in masters in HR, HRM, HCM, or in labor relations, anything on those sides?
Okay. I'm actually drawing a blank there, Abhidev, because HR or human capital is actually, we don't have a lot of people from that sphere reaching out to us. And we do have 1 or 2 people every year. Okay, but compared to the number of IT engineers, that's a very small number. So in that sense, we don't have a lot of exposure to the kind of careers you may be seeking for yourself. Predominantly, the people we've ended up working with are looking at MBA programs, and they do get into some top-tier programs as well. It really depends on how much you've executed in your projects and what kind of GREs and GMATs you have. Whether they choose to continue in HR or not, I am not very sure. I think typically once you get into college, you diversify and you look at what other options are available, right? I would need to check into whether there are specific programs on human capital management. In senses, there should be. So you said there's not much return from an MBA. Why do you say that?
I say that in perspective of, if I do an MBA, a general MBA, and let's say I want to specialize in HR, and I want to, then a lot of firms coming with the particular portfolio that I'll be looking at. And there's a possibility that I might have to look externally rather than leveraging the placement opportunities that the MBA college would provide. So when it comes to, and there is also a possibility that I might not be able to land a package that a typical placement window would provide, than, I would land externally. So in that phase, I feel that a return on investment, I would struggle more from a generic MBA versus a master's where the specialization is there, or it's specifically made for folks in HR.
Yeah, got it. If that is the case, then definitely I'm sure you've done your homework and you are aware of what kind of packages exist. And based on that, if you have come to the conclusion that there's not much in terms of ROI, then an MBA may not be viable. I don't know what kind of master's programs are out there, to be honest. But of late, I think there is an increasing tendency for colleges to offer multiple products. So they are also going the portfolio way, right? I do remember that maybe about 10 years ago, there was only like one Samsung Galaxy phone. So if you said somebody had a Samsung Galaxy, you knew exactly what kind of phone they had. But now when somebody says they have a Samsung Galaxy, it's just confusing, right? And colleges are also getting there. Kellogg has maybe like 4 different MBA programs, right? They have a 2-year MBA, they have a 1-year MBA, they have an MBA IIM, they have a triple M. And this is only as far as I can recall it. Right? Duke introduced a 1-year MBA program. And all of these also have executive MBA programs, right? So like even within MBA, they have multiple options. And then they have the online MBAs as well. So just in terms of an MBA program, they have like somewhere between 2 and 7 options. And then they also have like a masters in management for the freshers and all that. I know some colleges like London Business School have masters in finance, masters in accounting, so on and so forth. Vanderbilt, I think they also had masters in finance, accounting, and whatnot, and they also had something in healthcare concentrations. So definitely a lot of colleges are offering specialized master's programs. So which one offers something in human capital, I will have to check and get back to you on. I'm not aware of at this point. So that is one part of the answer. The other part of the answer is think about whether you really want to specialize in human capital, right? I mean, just because you're doing it right now does not mean you should be doing it for the rest of your life. You know, you've had like 4 to 5 years of career behind you, but you have maybe, 25, let's say 60, 35 years of career ahead of you, right? So the fact that you've done something for 4 to 5 years does not mean you have to continue to do the same thing for 35 years more. So take this opportunity to think about how you would like the rest of your professional life to evolve. And if you still think that HR is the way to go, then yeah, by all means, the rest of your analysis seems to be on point. Get a specialized master's and then move on. But if you feel like there could be something else that you would want to experiment with, like strategy consulting or something along those lines, then you may want to consider a general MBA degree because it does provide you with more options.
Makes sense, Karthik. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Definitely happy to. Does somebody have any other question?
Hey, hi Karthik. Sukhwinder this
Hi,
side.
Sukhwinder. How are you?
How are you? All good. So just to give you a brief background about, I've recently connected on LinkedIn as well. I come from a commerce graduate background, and I have an experience of about eight years in real estate investment management. I have a good trajectory of both over the period. I joined as an analyst, and I have had a good growth in my role, and there is this uptake in my whole the period which I've worked with a couple of companies onto the same role. I wanted to understand what are the chances. I'm not able to give time to GMAT, right? And I'm exploring colleges which are probably given GMAT waivers. And I have even made a list, and I've already done all my homework with respect to colleges which are given GMAT waiver in the US and in the UK, which are accepting applications. Just to give a brief, I already have admit from the top business school in India,
Which one?
The ISB Pro.
Okay.
Where
you don't need a GMAT for that?
ISB Pro, we don't need a GMAT.
Okay.
The PGB Pro program which they have.
Okay.
And I even have a waiver on the tuition fees. So I mean, I already have all of those things in place, but I want to explore options abroad as well. But all these colleges are, top 20 colleges in the US, like UNC, Kenan Flagler gives a GMAT waiver basis on your GPA. So I kind of fit into all those criteria, and have other extracurricular activities as well onto that front as well. So I just wanted to know my chances. Where do I land up? Because there is a tough competition, right? People are scoring 730, 740, and I don't know where I land up without the GMAT score. So I just wanted a profile evaluation basis my current resume which I have. Why even stand a chance, or just because I'm obviously taking the admit which I have, and it's the best option in India, at least I have. But I want to explore options abroad.
Okay. Yeah, hi Sukhvinder. Definitely congratulations on the ISB result. ISB is a great college, and I think you will benefit greatly from
Thank you.
the program. With regards to the profile evaluation or the benchmarking for foreign colleges, it's actually a little difficult without the GMAT. Yeah, to be honest, for American colleges, especially, most colleges have been going off the GMAT as the dominant criteria when I look at the results.
Right.
The biggest correlation I can make is, okay, a certain kind of GMAT lands somebody in a certain kind of program, right? That's the biggest correlation I can make. Very rarely have I been able to make correlations between their non-GMAT part of the profile and the kind of colleges they get into, right? So I would say if you had like a 730 or so, definitely you should be able to target a top 20 program because the rest of your profile seems to be matching. The strength of your profile is definitely, in that range. But I can very well see that you may have to look at the top 35 if you end up with a 690 or a 700. Do I see you getting into a top 10 or 12 with a 760? I think you'll have a competitive chance, maybe not for a top 7, but for a top 12. But again, you need that 750 or 760 to target that range. But without the GMAT itself, then it becomes a little difficult for me to benchmark. Then we'll just have to apply and really see where the dice lands, in some sense.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
like
mean,
a top 30
my
program or
idea
something.
yeah, right. My idea was, a few colleges where I can, try my luck. Because these colleges, I'm seeing all these colleges. I've been to most of the colleges' website. So these colleges are giving, an option for the waiver. So I'm sure these guys are giving admissions to few students where they see, there is some sort of capability or onto the profile, if anything is on that front. So I'm sure few students are getting into these colleges without the GMAT score as well. And
I've had people get interviews from Kinnan Flagler and all with the waiver last year. I don't have a lot of results because the one student last year, that was the only student I signed up without GMAT or GRE over the last 2 years. In spite of the fact that the colleges were offering waivers, I was not signing people up if they hadn't taken the exam.
Right.
For the exact same reason. I mean, there's no way in which I can predict. Yeah. But I'm not saying that this is your case, but let me just give you the point of view that I carry, right?
Right.
Typically, the people who reach out to me who are requesting waivers are the people who cannot do well on GRE or GMAT. Okay. It is very rare for them to not be able to take the GRE or the GMAT, which is the original purpose of the waiver. Yeah. And anybody who's able to get the 710 or 720 or even like a 670 or something, they're all taking the test and getting GMATs, right? So usually that's what I'm observing. I'm not observing somebody who can get a good score who is not able to take the test, right? So I'm not sure if colleges are making that observation, but obviously they are granting a waiver, which means they have to be fair to what they have committed to, right? It's the commitment that they made. I didn't make that commitment, so I can evaluate any way I want, but they made that commitment, so they have to stick by it. So I don't know how they're going to evaluate. That's the honest truth. But a lot of people are taking the exam and getting good scores as well. And if it is possible at all, I would encourage you to do so. If it's not possible, then it's really just a roll of dice. So just apply and see what happens.
Okay. So are you taking any students without GMAT waiver? Right? Because one of my friends are currently with you, like consulting him. So
okay.
You only referred.
Okay. So this year I'm working with one person who is applying for a waiver. So last year I worked with one person, and this year I'm working with one more person.
Okay. So can we connect later?
Yeah, please send me an email, and then we'll have a short discussion, and then we'll see what we can do.
Yes.
I think Divya, we have not spoken. Do you have a question, Divya? Okay. If anybody else wants to ask something that they have missed out on, that's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah. Hey, sir, Ajay here. I think I just had asked initially.
Ajay, I think Jasmine spoke first. We'll hear from her and then get back to you, Ajay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just had a follow-up question that with the score of 680, I was also trying to understand if I would stand a good chance at HEC Paris, because that was also one of the colleges on my list. In addition to that, I was earlier targeting its round 2, which is due on 15 September, but given that I'm still trying to understand that, if I should go about it or probably, seek some advice and probably plan my application better. So I am holding on to it and then planning to go on the 15th October deadline. So how does this shift impact my application?
I think all things being the same, 15th September to 15th October shouldn't change things too much. Yeah. With regards to whether it makes sense for you to apply to HEC or not, I had somebody with a 690 get in about a couple of years back. Okay. This was somebody with a prior MBA, and they had been working for aerated beverage company, right? And they were the brand manager for one of their drinks across India, right? So very good profile, a marketing and brand management kind of profile, and yeah, I mean, I think it worked out very well. Now, with regards to will it work out for you? I mean, I think you are still 10 points lower than the other person who was at 690 and you're at 680. So that is one thing that's likely to work against you. And also for anybody with a mainstream profile, HEC is probably trending towards 730 or 740 nowadays. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. I do believe that yours is not that mainstream, at least now, especially because of your nonprofit and all that. We'll have to examine this profile in a little bit more depth. But definitely, I think if you can get it up to 710, you'll probably have a very, very competitive shot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Karthik.
Yeah, Divya. Ajay was just speaking somewhere in the middle. Can I just hear from Ajay and then get back to you?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Yeah. So my last question, which I might have forgotten to ask, was your suggestion on whether to first retake GMAT, because although I got 700, I feel maybe given my IT profile, maybe like 720 or 730 would do me better. But same time, it's already September, so I don't want to wait for the score and not work on applications.
Correct. Yeah.
Any idea on how to resolve this conundrum? Like, do you suggest doing both parallelly, or give the GMAT, and if it doesn't work, give the old score and do that?
I mean, that's $1 million question, to be honest. See, ideally, you should be working parallelly on the GMAT preparation and on your application process as well. Okay. So let's start with that ideal scenario. Now, where does it become complicated? When you're working with a consultant, right? We will be charging you in advance. At least at August Academy, we charge in advance. I'm not sure how the other people do it, right? And that is all fine. But why is that a problem, right? It's a problem because when the GMAT is sort of locked at the beginning of the process, we can have an initial handshake about what is likely to be achieved, and you agree, I agree, we start working together, right? So everything is fine. Now, when the GMAT is in flux, I can only provide you with a hypothetical shortlist for what will happen if you get to that 730. Okay. Now, let us say that the 730 does not happen, and after 2 months, you're still at 700, or at most you go to 710. then you will not go to, you will not be able to apply to those colleges which would have been viable at 7:30. Okay. And in that process, we would have spent about 2 months. And what happens in that 2 months is, we would have been working towards something, and we would have like started writing essays and preparing your resume and letters of recommendation and all that stuff, right? We would be spending that time together. Now, how do we choose which colleges to work on, right? Do we choose it using the hypothetical 7:30, or do we choose it with the 700? That I think is where the dilemma starts happening.
What if I am sure that, these are the schools I want to apply, for which, like with the existing score, there is a shot. Maybe it's not too impossible, but same time there is some good chance.
So we'll have a personal discussion on this and then take it up, right?
Okay, sure.
But this is the complication. So the point is, once we are done helping you with a certain college, even if you end up not applying to it, we would still consider it to be done. So let's say you've taken up a 5-college package and you're done with 3 schools. It's done, right? So, but then if you end up not applying to it, you may not consider that to be valued, right? So I think this is the only tricky situation that we'll have to encounter in your, or anybody who's in your similar situation. If we can find a good way to resolve this before we get started, then we are happy to get started.
Okay. Thank you.
Divya, go for it.
Yeah, hi Karthik. I'm so sorry. I was in a meeting. That's why I was not able to speak while you are asking me to say something. So I just go straight from there. I'll give you a brief about my profile. I have the experience of like about 10 plus years, and I'm working since the beginning of my career. I'm working with the chairman of the company. Right now, I'm working in a company which is having the $5 billion of enterprises. And I'm working in the business strategy and new business initiative domain. And there I have acquired near about like 16,000 crores of the acquisition I have done overall India as well as in the Europe. And right now, so I'm just telling you why I'm just going for, after leaving this profile, and why I'm thinking about the MBA program. So recently I have been through an interview with Mr. Adani, 2 months back.
Interview with?
Mr. Adani, Mr. Gautam Adani. So he just, while I was giving my interview, after being the 7th round, so he just suggested me, after seeing my profile and after discussing so many things about the businesses, so he suggested me to go with the sub MBA program in the US with a top class university, and it is actually going to change my career, and it is actually make some very good impact in my future career. Like I can have a good CXO kind of role in the future. So then only I just thought about it, and then I wrote the exam, GMAT also, like within like 25 or 27 days. I wrote the exam and got 650. Just in like 28 days. Yeah.
Okay.
And right now I'm holding the position of the board. I'm the member of the board in this $5 billion enterprises also. So I'm the board of member in the Holdco as well as 2 other companies also. So this is a brief about my profile. And how do you think I should go with the 650 score while I'm applying to like Salon MBA in the MIT and these kind of programs with a 10 plus year of experience, or I should apply with the waiver? So this is the only question I do have in my head right now.
Okay, if it is possible for you to get a waiver, apply with a waiver.
Okay.
If they're not offering you a waiver, then apply with the 650 itself. If it is definitely possible for you to improve your score, then I would recommend that. Okay. Now, I don't want to be seen as contradicting everything I said over the last 45 minutes or so. So just for the benefit of the others, I've seen Divya's profile, and Divya's profile is quite unique. And the advice I'm giving Divya is probably not relevant for like a more mainstream applicant, right? So I'm just giving the disclaimer to everybody else who's on the call. So yeah, your first strategy is try to see if you can get a waiver. If you can get a waiver, that's good. If you can't get a waiver, see if you can improve your GMAT. If you can improve your GMAT, that's good. If you can't do that, then just go ahead and apply with the 650 itself.
Okay. So while I'll talk about like MIT Salon, then what your recommendation? Because they are offering the this thing also. If you are having the experience like more than 10 years, then you can apply in this particular course in the one fellowship course, and
Correct.
they are giving the waiver also. So if I'll talk about this specific program, what is your recommendation for that?
Yeah, I think that will be a good fit for you because you have 10 years of experience. Definitely, I think the executive program at MIT, Stanford, and London Business School, those three would be the best programs for you.
Okay. So in the LBS, I have already applied for the waiver thing, and they have already accepted the waiver. So I think I'll be able to make it. But my preference is just to go with the MIT because Stanford is not giving the waiver for the 1 year MBA.
Okay.
So I have no chance over
you
there.
can just apply with your 650 and see what happens. And the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to reject you, which is fine. I mean, you spent what, $200 or something, and I think
it doesn't matter. Yeah. So just last question. Just last question. After having the brief about my profile, what is your gut feeling is saying, and what is, as per your experience, what are you feeling? Would I be able to make it in the MIT with the waiver?
I think you have a good shot. I mean, I can't say for sure, of course, but I definitely think you have a good shot.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. You made my day. Thanks.
All right. Does somebody have any other question? All right. Folks, I'll just give a very brief chat about how we can take it forward from here. All right. So we have these Zoom Hangouts once every 2 weeks or so. And then, I mean, some of you all may have some questions, which hopefully I've been able to do justice to. Some of you all may be looking to work with me. So if you're looking to work with me, please write me an email. The next step would be for us to get onto a one-to-one call. And we have a small charge for the one-to-one call. We charge 2K. But then when you sign up, we subtract it. Okay. So, it's not like you're parking the money somewhere or anything. I mean, if you intend to sign up, then it's just like due diligence or something. Now, once you sign up with us, like what's the process that we follow? So let me just give you some overview. The first step is for me to understand your background a little bit better. And I will be asking some questions of you, and I would be requesting your answers to those questions. And people usually take about 10 to 15 days for this, right? Once this process is done, the next step is for us to, do a shortlist for you. And, like I mentioned to Ajay, it's nice to have a handshake at the beginning itself, where I will be giving you some indication as to what are the range of schools that we can target for you. Okay. And typically, after I get to know more information about your background, we'll have some tailoring. It can go a little up or below what we had initially agreed on, but it is going to be very close. Okay, so we'll do the handshake, which won't be a precise shortlisting at the beginning. But then the actual shortlist is after I get to know a lot more information about you. And it's likely to be a little different, but not very different. Okay. Then we start the application process. Now, typically for every college, we'll help you with the essays, the letters of recommendation, and the resume. Okay. And what that means is we'll set up a call. We'll have a brainstorming call, and then we'll meet for that 1 hour. And within that 1 hour, we will discuss your life stories and figure out how to choose life stories that are relevant to the questions that have been asked. Okay. Like in the BS case, MIT asks for a cover letter, right? So how do we structure this cover letter? Or, in Ajay's case for NUS, I think they had this question about who's a person who you admire or something along those lines. Yeah. So every college has these questions, so anywhere between 2 and 5 or 6, and we'll discuss those questions, and then we'll come up with a strategy for how you should approach those questions. And then by the end of that 1 hour, I will help you put together a bullet point structure for each response. Then you will write the essay, and then you will share that draft with me when you're done. My turnaround time is 2 to 3 days. I will get back to you with my comments on how you can improve. Okay. And then you give me another draft. I'll give you more comments. We'll exchange a few drafts back and forth till we get it right. Okay. We follow a similar process for the letters of recommendation and the resume as well. Now, we have 2 tiers of packages. We have a comprehensive tier of package, and then we have an ultra tier. In the comprehensive tier, we have 1 brainstorming call per college. Okay. In the ultra tier, we have no limit. We have like one call per week or something. Okay. But outside of that, everything else is the same. We don't limit the number of edits. Our calls are set up between 12 and 6 usually, which is why this call is happening at 6:30 because I just got done with my day of calls. Our turnaround time is 2 to 3 days. And then we have a last minute charge. So when you get like 48 hours within the deadline, if you submit an edit after that, we have a small charge for this. The idea is to discourage you from pushing into the last minute. Typically, all of my students are very good, and then they finish up like a week or 10 days in advance, and we don't even enter the territory. Right? And that is the best way to be, because keep your last minute for like last minute panic. Let it not be for regular like essays and all that. Now on interview prep, with our 3-school comprehensive, we charge extra for interview prep. With our 5-school comprehensive, we have 2 interviews included. And in the ultra, of course, there's no limit. So subject to the limit of 1 call per week, we don't place any limits in this, right? So this is a package structure. I can definitely explain this in more detail when we have our one-to-one chat. In terms of pricing for the 3-school comprehensive, which does not include interviews, we charge 195 plus GST, that comes down to 2.3 lakhs. For the 5-school comprehensive, we charge 250 plus GST, that comes to 2.95. And for the 5-school ultra, we charge 340 plus GST, that comes to just around 4 lakhs. We recently introduced a 3-school ultra for which we charge 2.75 plus GST. I don't know what the total number was, but it's 18%. So you can just do it into 1.18. That's the number. We don't differentiate in terms of which package you choose or anything. You choose based on how much input you think you require, and the budget is on the other side as well. So our commitment remains the same to you. In terms of calls, we have a differentiation, but in terms of edits and suggestions offered and the number of questions you can ask us through email, we don't place any limits on that. So that is entirely open. So feel free. That is really all I had to say about our packages. And for the benefit of anybody who may be watching this on YouTube at a later point in time, at some point, our intention is to collect the questions that have been asked and categorize this into mini chapters on our YouTube, right? So if there's a question that you find to be particularly relevant to you, just click on that particular chapter. You can watch that, and then you don't have to watch the rest, and then you can make productive use of your time. Also, for people who are likely to watch this on YouTube, please give a like, share, or subscribe, right? Because a very simple reason, we still operate as a small business, right? There's other consulting firms which have like multiple mentors and multiple writers, and it's a staggered structure, and then you really don't have any idea who you're interacting with at any point in time. At our company, I am your face for the most part, and whatever it is that you want, you will reach out to me, and then I'll answer the questions for you. And once in a while, we do have additional consultants on board as well, and then they become your face, right? So they become your single point of contact. They help you with your essays. They will help you with your interview coaching. They will help you with your brainstorming, everything. The same person does everything. So we have a very small business way of working. We are a small business also, right? In spite of the fact that we've been in this industry for 9 years and we've had excellent results, we haven't scaled up massive, which means we need every little bit of help we can to attract quality candidates, right? And when you do that, like on the YouTube video, YouTube algorithms picks it up and shows it to people in other territories and people who have similar interests such as yourself, and we get that extra publicity. So it doesn't cost you anything, but it can help us a lot. So that's everything I had for today. Thank you, all of you, for attending our meeting. And if you have any other questions, definitely please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you, Tazia.
Thanks, Karthik.
Thank you, Supinder. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, Jasmine.